Everyone can hear me? Hi, my name is Alan. I'm the CEO of CoinDash. A couple of quick questions. Anyone here holding crypto? Oh, good. How many of you are holding Bitcoin? How many Ether or other altcoins? Okay, so half and half, I'll say. How many of you participated in an ICO? Wow, you're one of the more advanced crowds in the world. You can be proud of yourselves. So I'm asking because it's a kind of a difficult market to understand. It really helps to understand who's the crowd. And so I've been in the space for 5 years now. I'm a developer. I've contributed code to a lot of the open source projects, the Bitcoin client, the Ethereum clients. I've developed my own wallet along the way. In the past year and a half, I started investing my own money in crypto assets, in ICOs and secondary markets. And it kind of hit me that that's one of the biggest use cases for blockchain technology. Because before of that, I understood really well the technology, but I didn't know how to translate it into a real world use case. And so the real kind of big use case is the potential to change the financial industry. It's a potential to create new new asset of classes, which is the crypto asset. It's a potential to create new kind of companies. Blockchain companies are standard companies as you know them, with equity, with stocks, but they also have tokens. Most of them are tokenized, which is a different kind of company, which brings a lot of potential, but obviously a lot of complications as well. And so that's kind of my background. And that potential, this huge potential, kind of put it in a bit of context, is getting pretty big very, very fast. So it's around $80 billion. The whole industry, the whole crypto market is around $80 billion at the moment, give or take. And it went up many percentage along the way the past 2 or 3 years. And it's amazing. But even more amazing is the trading volume of those crypto assets is becoming incredible, right? I mean, we're seeing now trading volumes of around I'll say between $3 and $5 billion a day. And it's unheard of because 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it was in the hundreds of millions, right? That's a big jump ahead. And that creates liquidity, that creates a really exciting market. But it also brings a lot of the challenges. And what kind of the thing that drives this whole ecosystem is an initial coin offering. And I know a lot of you participated in initial coin offerings or an ICO, but it's basically a mechanism to introduce new assets, new crypto assets into the market and finance the activity of some kind of an entity that is behind that token, right? And that's kind of what drives the whole trend, because this is how you create new assets, make the whole market a bit more exciting. And so in 2016, we saw overall, excluding the DAO, which was one of the bigger ICOs but kind of failed, excluding the DAO, the whole ICO market in 2016 was around $300 million. In 2017, Q1, we're already seeing those numbers. And we're expecting it to grow over $1 billion in 2017. More companies doing ICOs, more seasoned entrepreneurs doing ICOs. I don't know if you guys heard the amazing news in Token Summit just last week in New York. Kik, which is one of the biggest instant messaging apps in the world, is doing an ICO. Okay, so it's not a child's play anymore. It comes to the big guys. Those are some of the recent ICOs. There are many of them. We just put a few of them just to give you a sense of the scale and how much those companies raised. They raise between several millions and tens of millions, and in Kik's kind of a scenario, they'll probably raise over 100 million. And in a very short time, everything is done decentralized on the blockchain. Everyone can participate, which is one of the biggest strong points. So it's a whole new exciting market. It has huge potential, but also brings a lot of the challenges. And so the learning curve is pretty steep. Inside, people already in the ecosystem might not feel it, but newcomers and even people holding crypto assets are still having really hard time to understand what to invest in and when, right? When to sell, when to buy. Bitcoin now is almost at an all-time high. Should I buy or should I wait, right? Those big questions can create some really big limitations and friction for newcomers. And if you want to scale, that can be a problem. Tools. There aren't any tools for investors today. People are using Excel sheets. I don't know how you manage your portfolio. I use Excel sheets, right? I decide what to invest in based on rumors because I know the people are in the industry, but imagine the people who are outside the industry. It's becoming pretty big. And so if you started by saying this is one of the biggest use cases and one of the biggest promises of the technology, then it also becomes one of the biggest challenges for us as an industry and for us as entrepreneurs to understand how we can scale up and bring the necessary tools to those newcomers. And so this is exactly what we're doing in CoinDash. We frame CoinDash as an operating system for crypto assets. And it begins with the basics, portfolio management, a way for you to measure how much and what assets you invested in, how good you are as an investor or not good. And on top of that, we build something we call social trading, which is the ability to follow another top trader and invest like him. And this is essentially to remove a lot of the friction inexperienced people might feel when they want to enter the market. And so those decision making may be postponed for a later kind of when I understand better the market, but now I can follow someone who I know is good because everything is written on the blockchain, so I can measure the person I'm following. And that can be my ticket to the market, and from there I can learn on my own, which brings us to a marketplace where you can actually discover new investment opportunities and new investment instruments. ICOs, by the way, are just the first wave of investment instruments. We're already seeing a second wave of a much bigger and much more sophisticated investment instruments like the Melon Ports of the world. Shapeshift just announced Prism, which is essentially a CFD built on top of the blockchain. So just imagine how much more complex this whole market will become in the next year maybe. And so you have to have those tools to discover investment opportunities, to understand what to invest in and when. And obviously, in the sense of how we develop the blockchain, everything or most of the platform is open source and will be exposed obviously for developers so they can extend the functionality and bring their own into the ecosystem. One of the things we set up just from the beginning is to really make sure that we are blockchain agnostic, because crypto creation and trading is not just dedicated to a bunch of blockchains. It's happening now on Ethereum. It will happen on Bitcoin using projects like Rootstock or Polkadot or whatever other blockchain which has the functionality of creating new assets and the trading. We would like to be there to facilitate and give those users obviously the tools we give everyone. And so kind of putting into context and kind of what our first kind of step will be, we already started beta testing. The first version of CoinDash will be a portfolio management for Ethereum and a Copy-ICO kind of functionality where you can follow someone and through a smart contract you can actually participate in the ICOs he's participating in automatically. So just imagine how much friction you can take out of the system for newcomers and beginners, and obviously create kind of a sharing economy around people who have the expertise and knowledge. And so I brought you kind of by the way, it's the first time we're showing it, so kind of a screenshot of the beta testing happening right now with our community. What you can see here is a Ethereum-based portfolio. And everything you here see, the allocations, the graphs, everything is generated automatically by simply providing the public key of your Ethereum account, which is unheard of in the blockchain space. Just think of the leap it took us as engineers from the Excel sheet to make it automatic and automated for you guys to enjoy. And so this is being tested right now, and we'll open it in the next months. So kind of where we are as a company, as a blockchain company. We started life about 6 months ago. We participated in the EtherCamp hackathon, which is one of the biggest hackathons in the blockchain space. It was 7 weeks long. More than 70 projects across the world participated in. Judges were top of the industry, and the biggest thing was the prize, which was almost 7,000 ethers. So I know you're now calculating in your minds, it's a lot of money. Back then it was $50,000, today is a lot more. And so that was kind of the first thing we did as a company. It gave us a validation that what we're doing is actually meaningful and gives value to the world. And from there, we've raised a seed round and started developing the product in a much larger scale and moving towards an ICO of our own to finance our activities. But more important, the ICOs, everyone is talking about the financial aspect of ICOs, which obviously is the big one. But the second thing that nobody talks about is the ability for companies to acquire their beta testers, their community, and bootstrap people around them and around their idea. Because keep in mind, the people who are investing in you have the biggest incentive to make whatever you're doing happen. And it's especially true with CoinDash because our end users are also our investors. So whoever invests in CoinDash actually needs the platform we're developing because it's for investors, obviously. And so this is one of the biggest things and biggest benefits of doing an ICO, which will happen in July this year. So kind of to sum up, some of our partners are blockchain veterans. We're working with a lot of people from the community because it's strengthening us and strengthening the community. And every single one of them, by the way, it's not just a paper kind of partnership. Behind every partnership we do, there's a development process going on, and it's a true partnership in the sense that we're creating value, not just putting the logos of each other on the slides. And so we are very proud of our partners. They're giving us great value, and hopefully we're doing the same for them. So Adam couldn't be here, but Adam is my co-founder. I know him for 20 years. We grew up together. We wanted to do something together a long time, and finally we get a chance to do that in the blockchain space. So thank you.